Okay, it's connected now. Hi, if you're watching a recording, do fast forward a minute. We're just about ready to get started here. I can't understand you. Okay, let me take a look. I wonder what's going on with Twitch. So weird. Still having issues with Twitch, huh? Yeah, I hear you. Okay, so I'm checking right now. Oh, it's up. I see it up. I see Twitch as being up. Okay, so it's up. Okay, it's connected now. So if you're watching on Twitch, give us a shout out. Let us know you can see us. Still looking like there are problems. Actually, I just checked. It looks like Twitch is up and running. Can you guys chat on Twitch? I was able to chat. So, don't know if you should switch over to Facebook, but if it's not working for you, go ahead and switch over because Facebook is indeed up and running. All right. Okay. So just says offline. Wait. I see someone on Facebook saying it's offline. Are we saying that Twitch says it's offline? Because it's online on my side. Like, I went to Twitch and it is up and running. So, all right. Yeah, why don't you guys switch over to Facebook? Because it looks like I'm going to go ahead and put it in the chat. Oops. So, according to Andy, Twitch is not right. Let's see. I don't know. I'm not really clear what is causing those problems, but I seem to be able to be up there. Hi, you're watching a... Let's see what's going on here. So, switch over to Facebook, and then we go from there. Hi, everyone. Today is Monday, November 22nd. It is week 88. Wow. Yay. It's a number. 88. I hope you all had a good weekend. I know I had a very productive weekend this past weekend. And what all did we do? Oh yeah, we did the Penannular on Saturday. That was a lot of fun. Lots of successes. People were finishing up their projects during the Zoom, which is always great. If you had signed up for that and did not come to the class, I did send out the recording. I want to say yesterday, so you should have the recording to review back onto it. What is coming up? Let's see. What is coming up? It is Thanksgiving this week. Woohoo! And on Wednesday, we are going to put a little jingle in it. So we're going to make sleigh bells just because we can, just for fun. And if you are still looking for kits, the silver kits are gone, but I think we do have some copper kits still left. And next week, I think we have some guest instructors. I think Marty's going to be here on Monday. Oh, big news from the weekend. I remember now. Okay, what's the big news from the weekend? Mental Immersion Austria has officially been canceled because Austria is now in lockdown and they are not allowing tourists to enter. So we sort of got locked out of that. Instead, what's going to happen? Well, for everybody who canceled out of Austria, we are doing it again next year. We are putting dates on the schedule for the end of May two dates on the schedule for the end of May and for December, again, to do the Christmas markets and whatnot. So do look out for that if you're interested in joining us, meaning me and Suli, in Vienna, Austria next year. But hopefully all of this pandemic stuff will have dissipated and it'll be a lot easier. So what am I going to do with this schedule since I had all these things scheduled out? We do have guest instructors in line. So like I said, Marty Brown is going to be our guest instructor next week. And the following week we have Amy Schmidt and Jan Harris Smith will be coming from their new studio and in Salt Lake City and showing everybody what's going on there. And then we also have two guest instructors on Zoom. We have Scott Mason and Janet Libby. So Scott's going to do a faux reticulation, and Janet Libby is going to be a fused glass ornament class. So you'll need a kiln for that if you want to join her. And there are kits available for both, but you need to order them soon because it's going to be cut off in the next week or so. You can register for those classes on theurbanbeater.com. Just go to classes and go to December. You'll find the links there for those classes. But that's pretty exciting for me because I still have some time off. But what am I going to do with all that time off that supposedly I was going to Austria and then no longer going? We're going to Morocco. Yup, it's true. I booked the flights and the hotels, and I don't know what it's going to be like there, but hopefully I will have a connection and I will be coming live, hopefully live from Morocco. I'll be taking some classes out there. I'm sure I will be taking some video and sharing it with everybody here. So tune in for that. I'll post it as I know. I leave next Tuesday, won't arrive until Wednesday. So Wednesday next week is a bit iffy, but do check in and check on the Facebook page and see if it's up there, and on YouTube. I'm going to try to get it up on all 4 channels. Remember, I'm simulcasting on Facebook, my personal Facebook, the Q Talk page on Facebook, YouTube, and it looks like maybe not Twitch, maybe Twitch. I don't know. Glitchy Twitch. Maybe we should just call it Glitchy Twitch. Anyway, so I'm going to try to broadcast on those from Morocco, so we'll see how that goes. But pretty exciting. Yes, someone asked if December schedule has been published. It has been published, and it is on the Q Talk Facebook page, and it is also on the urbanbeater.com page, okay, or site. There it is. Okay, so what are we doing today? Today we are doing Start from Scrap, and for the last, 5-6 weeks, on Monday we've been working with our scrap material. What do we do with all the scrap material that we've been acquiring? So we've done a little bit of copper. I don't think we've done anything with the brass yet, but I'm continuing to work on with silver. And you know what? One of the things that I have a lot of is these tiny little scrap pieces here. There's not much you can do when they're this small except to either churn it in or cast it, because you're just melting it down, or you can make little granules. But how many granules can you possibly make? Don't answer that question. I know, a lot. That said, I saw this somewhere along the line on Instagram and thought, this would be really great for us to do with our scrap. So what are you going to need? We're going to do a little low-lying casting is what we're doing. Just really basic casting. We're going to go through some really basic information on how to do this. And just to let you know, I posted, or Andy, or one of us, posted on the videos some information or some links for all the stuff that I'm using today, okay? So this is a maybe, okay, is our steel dapping set. But what you do need to do this with is you're going to need a crucible and a whip. A whip is this tong looking thing here. You see that? They call it a whip. And a ceramic crucible. And I like these little ones because it doesn't take a lot of heat. There's not a lot of heat sink. And a lot of us are not using like really big torches. So this is great because then it melts pretty quickly and it works really well. Speaking of torches, one thing I have discovered is you cannot use a butane torch. At least I have not been able to get any butane torches that I own hot enough to get this to work. So any kind of casting, and we're doing basically gravity casting. So we're using gravity to cast with. And yes, I use this to do cuttlebone casting, and I use this for water casting and straw, I think they call it broom casting, where you're using the straw from the brooms to cast with. So you don't need any like really big equipment to do this. So if you can't use your butane torch, what can you use? Well, if you have an acetylene torch or even a natural gas or propane torch, that will work. You do not need to have one with oxygen. You can just use acetylene air or oxygen air to make that happen. So that said, just FYI, if you are using, say, one of those Smith Little torches, okay, you can buy a rosebud adapter that will give you a lot bigger, bushier flame, and this will work on your propane or your natural gas like I have. So I was using this over the weekend because I prefer the natural gas because I don't have any post-consumer waste with the cans. But usually when I'm teaching this and I'm out in classes, I usually use this bad boy. So what's great about this is you can just buy these for about $40 at Home Depot, and it is just a torch head that plumbers use, right? So you can see it's a Burns-O-Matic, and these gas canisters you can find at Home Depot also. I think they're like $10, right? So, and then you just spin them on and they self-ignite. So you don't even need to light them. FYI, I have a couple of these on DStash. I've also posted that link into the video so you can see that. So because I'm no longer doing this, I have 3 of these torches running around. I want to get rid of them. So I've got them up there for $20. I also have an extra whipping, some extra crucibles to sell on DStash too. Again, I posted that link, and Andy is posting that link also for you if you're interested in jumping into this at all. Okay, so lastly, the thing that you need is you're going to need some boric acid. That's what I have in my container here. I also have some of that up for sale. Boric acid, what's that going to do is it reduces the fire scale and it pulls oxygen out of your metal as you're working. And additionally, what you want to do is you want to season these crucibles, because when they come, it's just ceramic and your metal will stick to the crucibles. So what you want to do is you want to season the crucible a little bit with the boric acid before you get going. And I'll show you how to do that here in a second. But speaking of metals, one thing that I would definitely do is if you are trying to cast, say, brass or copper or even pewter, you want to make sure that you use different crucibles instead of using the same crucible for each one of for the metals. So you want to have one crucible for each one of the metals. And you can also do this with gold, because we're all, again, jumping into the gold, right? Not really. Okay, but you might have some scrap, and this could be a lot of fun for your scrap if you're going down that road. Okay, so let's jump in and I will show you what we're going to do here. Oops. So again, this is just low-lying casting, you can say. So I'm just making these little splashes of metal. So after some experimenting over the weekend, I made some discoveries. Okay, and again, we'll go through that here in a second. Let me clean this up, make some room, because it's a big torch and it's a lot of flame, so I want to make sure I keep safe. So as you can see here, this is my self-ignite. There it is. And there's a lock. You just click on there and lock it, and then you don't have to hold it. Click it again and it opens up. Oh, another thing about these torches, okay? If you look really closely, it's a swirl head. Okay, you need that swirl head. You don't want the one that just blows out bushy, because you need it to come to a point to get to that really intense heat that we are working with. How do I know this? It was trial and error, and that's why you're paying me the big bucks. It was a lot of trial and error to discover that there's a difference in these torch heads. So be careful when you buy these, or you can buy mine off DStash. Take it off my hands. Help me out. All right. Okay. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to heat my crucible just a little bit, and also notice there's a spout on it, so I'm heating that too. okay? And I'm taking a little bit, just a pinch of boric acid, and this is how I'm going to season and coat my crucible. So again, it wasn't a ton of heat, it's just enough, and I'm just putting it around. I'm definitely hitting that spout right there, because we're going to pour from that spout and you don't want it to stick, okay? Another thing too is, oops, you want to make sure that you get a little bit of boric acid right into the metal. Now over time, you won't need to season this. It would have already been seasoned, because you would have already had all that boric acid that's on your crucible, and you don't have to continually add more boric acid. I did that just so you can see how to do it. All right, so here I'm going to pour right onto my board, but on my board I have a piece of copper. First thing I'm going to do to it, this is again using scrap. What I'm going to do first is I'm going to do some fire scale on here. Okay, so the reason why I produce fire scale, because I don't want these splatters or these splashes to stick to the metal, or else it will. If you get it hot enough, it'll fuse to the metal. But the fire scale is creating a barrier to the metal. I also discovered I can't pour it directly onto my solder block. It sticks to that. It was painful. So live and learn. Okay, so here we go. So we're going to heat it like so, and notice how far out I am. I'm not going all the way in like this. I'm going right to that blue tip, and I'm heating everything. I actually have the tank tucked under my arm, holding it sort of like a baby or a football when you're running. And notice I'm shaking it a little bit. And you can probably see, look, the metal's coming together. And I'll do this a couple times so you can see what's going on. And also notice how I'm dragging my heat down to that spout. But I like to move my metal around a little bit to make sure that all the little pieces are actually melted. Okay, and I'm just going to do a quick pour like that. Actually, going to go up. There you go. A little higher. Okay, that was not very fun. Meaning my splatter was not very fun. You see? I did two. You see that? Okay, let me show you. There we go. I poured twice. I don't know if you saw me. I dipped it twice and I poured on top of itself, which was not great. It fused. I'll throw it into the, I'm going to throw it into the pickle here. I'm going to do it again. Let's just do it again and see what happens. But I was being a little timid. I should have been a little more aggressive with it. But I'm going to hold this a little bit higher because I want more of a splash. Now, what I did discover along the way is if you don't get your metal really molten liquid, it's just going to ball up. There we go. Okay. Very cool. All right, I'm going to switch cameras so you can see what happened there. You see that? There it is. That's sort of cool. Okay. Sort of interesting. So, you know, how I got this was it wasn't as hot as this one. You can totally tell when the metal was more molten than others and than other times. It really does make a great splash if it's really molten. And the other thing too is you want to go up a little bit higher. So I'm going to say I'm about 5 inches above my board. I probably could have gone even higher. So I'm going to do a little bit more from another angle so you can see what's going on. Okay. And you can control the size of your splatter by controlling how much metal that you put in here. We'll put a teeny little bit of boric acid on our metal. what do you do with these pieces once you're done? Well, you can make it into a pendant, you can make it pieces for an earring, whatever it is that you want. But I think I'm going to make mine into a component, and I'll show you here in a minute. So you can see I like to work at an angle. I don't like to do this, where it's down. You see how my arm's coming up? I prefer holding the tank underneath my arm and holding my crucible at an angle. And as it's melting, I'm sort of like swirling it around to make it catch all the little bits of metal and asking it to all fuse together. And can you see how molten it's really getting? Okay, so I'm going to come up a little higher because I want a good splatter. That's great. So the question is, am I using sterling fine or both? I am actually, that's a great little splatter there. I am using a mix. I don't know. Unlike a lot of people, I do not split up my my scrap unless it's good scrap, meaning the piece might be large enough to be used at some other junction. So here's my metal. It's gotten all warped from the heat. I'm going to flatten it out a little bit, and I'm going to do this one more time for you. And you know what's sort of fun here is I have not done this with copper. Maybe I should try copper and see what happens. But I'll bet you if I do copper, it's just going to stick to the copper. Now, I did try doing this on a bench block thinking, oh, it'll be nice and cool and it should just like cool the metal right away after I pour it. But what happened was when I put it on a bench block, it's so cold that it balled up. It didn't give me a splatter. And I just like that. You know, it looks like a splash of water. It's just a lot of fun. So there it is. Oh! Okay, so that poured faster than I was expecting. There we go. There it is. It's a little splash. Okay, I'm going to do it one more time. This is going so quickly. Sort of cool. I'm going to do just a little bit of metal there. So what would happen if I laid a bump or a couple pieces of wire on my patch piece? I don't know. I would think that it would just fuse because it's so hot. Let's try it. I have scrap. We can do that. There's a nice piece of scrap. Okay. So let's pour it on there and see what happens. But I really think it's just going to fuse to it. I have a little dot of silver. Can you see that? Right about 12 o'clock there. Let me see if I can get it to come in. What is the difference between this and water casting? Well, with water casting, you get these cute little cups. I'll show you here in a minute. Whereas with this, you get little flat splashes. So notice I'm just moving it around because I want to make sure that everything is nice and molten. You can see how good my aim is here. Can I get it to hit that wire? Oh! Sorta. Did you see that? Did you see that? I hit the wire and nothing happened. I'll do it again. Hold on a second. Okay, so it looks like it's stuck onto, stuck onto my copper, but we'll do it again. Not clear why it didn't stick, but you know, I'm going to put this in some pickle and see, maybe because there was fire scale that had developed onto the wire, and maybe that's why it didn't fuse. But again, half scrap, can do more. That is too big a piece. Go. All right, I'm gonna throw all my pieces here. So far, we've got all these sort of cool splatters, splashes. Grab that wire out of the pickle. Okay, so there it is. Try it again. A little bit of boric acid. So I'm going to do a tighter shot so you guys can see it better. Sort of moving the flame around just a little bit. I found the sweet spot on the flame. You can see that very quickly as everything's melting quite quickly. As soon as you pull in the wrong place, you see it cools off, or you're going too close, it starts to cool off too. Because you really just get right in that sweet spot. And how do you know? Because you're sitting there, you're watching it, right? And you can see the metal changing very quickly. And that's how you know that you're in the right spot of the flame, that is, the right part of the flame. Okay, so I can see solids in there. So I'm going to continue to heat until I don't see solids anymore. Okay. I'm being very timid here about pouring. I missed. Sorry, I missed it. I missed the wire, but I think I missed when I poured the second one. Not clear I missed when I poured the first one, but it didn't stick, which is really weird. I would have assumed that it should have stuck. How about I try a smaller piece of wire and see what happens? And this time, it stuck. No, it didn't. There it is. We'll try it again. Don't like that piece. Okay. I'm going to find a smaller piece of wire. That's a piece of wire. I'm going to pickle this too. Okay, in the meantime, I'm going to produce some fire skill on here again. Not pickled yet, almost. There we go. It's much better. Okay, I'm pulling pieces out of the pickle. I know the patina was sort of cool too, but we can always patina that again. I'll show you those pieces here in a minute. Here's my wire. Let's see what happens. I forgot to pour gases, so I set it down. That was a lot of metal. It has to stick. It doesn't have a choice. Okay. Oh, hello. Stuck. Oh, it's all an experiment. It's stuck. Let's Let's see. Nope, that's not helpful. Get out my butter knife. Okay, so I can see down here, it fused to my copper. It was a lot of metal, so it remained hot. Too much metal. So, okay, so I learned something there too. There's a lesson if you're doing this. If you do too much metal, it'll stick to your copper. Because again, it's about holding heat, right? And it gave it just enough heat to fuse to the copper. Whereas the other pieces, it wasn't quite enough, but oh, it's going to come off here in a second. There we go. So it did come off, but you can see there's a hole. So it took some copper with it, but that's a key point. So regarding the wire that you asked about, I guess to get it to stick to the wire, you're going to have to put on enough metal, right? To get it to go ahead and fuse. But that is definitely around there and fuse. But you know, let's just for yucks and giggles cut through here and see if it's fused on the inside or did it just envelop the wire. Another, you know, if you don't want this to happen as I'm thinking this through, remember this is all very stream of thought here, stream of work or fluid working here. We're just working through these things. Is if you're doing this, you might want to go for a thicker piece of metal. Remember, I'm just using scrap. So you might want to go to an 18 gauge, and it probably will prevent it from your metal from fusing to your silver from fusing to your copper. Okay, I'm going to cut this with my heavy duty cutter and see. It looks like it is fused on the inside of this. Maybe not. Actually, maybe not. Because it is, there it is. Okay, so no, it's just enveloped around it. It wasn't enough heat to fuse it. So this piece of wire is whole and intact on the inside of there. So answers the question, what happens? Nothing. Because again, you're going from something hot to something cold, clearly not hot enough. I guess if I was going to try this again, which I probably should. Okay, I'll try it one more time just because I'm so curious. Hold on. What if you heat the metal or heat the wire before you pour it so that everything is hot? Okay, we try it again. This is what's fun about doing this is it's just scrap, and I feel like I'm not wasting good metal. Although it's silver, I know. We'll heat it again, and we'll try pouring it. So for everyone who's watching for the first time, this is what's really fun about watching live, is you can ask questions and I can experiment because I love all these questions and experimenting and learning as I go. Okay, it's hot enough. Oh. That was a miss. That was a miss on my part. I was too busy talking and I forgot I was going to heat this up. So you know what, let me throw it in the pickle and pickle that again. And you didn't play nice, did you? Okay. I'm done with you. I'm going to use you. I'm going to use some other scrap metal. And I'm going to use less this time. Actually, there's a piece. There's a clean piece of wire. Can you see the steam? You know, for me, this is just as fun as making granules. I know everybody loves making granules. It's just fun. This is just granules on steroids, right? This is granules with big equipment. So I'm gonna heat this. There's my splatter. Let's finish this one out. Okay. Okay, so you know, I'm sort of glad this happened. Did you see that? I had a few pieces fall off of the copper and onto my solder board, and look, it just made granules. It didn't splash, which is sort of weird to me. I don't know why, but why that happens. But hey, that's again why we experiment. Let's see here. Grab my cutter. It's a cute little dot. Uh-huh. That one came right off. Just need to get under it. This one's going to come right off too. Okay, so there it is. And again, looking at this, I can tell. Let me zoom in for you. See, this is the back side. You can tell that really the silver just enveloped the wire. And let's see if we can break it apart and see what happens here. Because I want to identify if it has actually, it did not fuse. You see, the wire is perfect on the inside. Okay, so fail. Oh well, but good question though. I'm going to throw that right back in my scrap. And let's go to the other one. See what we're going to do. So here, say it again. Yeah, so this organic stuff, it's just a lot of fun, you know, like what can you do with all this and where can you go with it? Okay, so I came up with a couple ideas. I was talking to a friend this morning like, hey, what can we do with all these? And so funny, at the same time, we came up with more or less the same idea. So what we're going to do, let me dry this off. Oh, is this going to fall? No. I thought it was going to break apart. There's a couple things we can do here that can be a lot of fun. Okay. So the first one is we can make it into a component for a ring or even a pendant. So I'm going to choose this round one. See that? I'm going to break that off right there. And I'm just going to dap it. And now it looks like a water casting. Ta-ha! Why not? Oh, I was going to show you before I forget what a water casting would look like. So these were water casted. You can see they're nice, really nice cup shape and a lot of fun. I've already soldered 3 pieces together. I figured one day this is going to become a ring. That's my UFO. You know, I should probably do that sometime. Okay, I'm going to do So then I was thinking what you could do is put these two pieces together like that. Actually, I'm going to dap that a little bit more. I need a different dap block. Hold on. I want this to be cupped even more than it is. Good thing I have tools, huh? There we go. So it makes a really nice cup shape. You can see that. And this way, if I'm making the inside much more cupped than the other so that you can see the texture. Because if they're both similarly flat, then you can't see the difference, right? It just becomes more dimensional. Like so. You see that? Let's see. I still want this more dapped. Hold on. Yeah. There we are. This makes me happy. There we go. So now you can totally see how there is a distinction between the two pieces. And I happen to have a little granule here on the side. And my friend was like, oh, you can put a pearl inside of there. Yes, you can. You can put a pearl in here. You can do a half drilled stone, a cabochon. You can even set a CZ in here. But what I would do is solder these pieces together and make it into a ring. Fun, right? Okay, we'll set that aside. So that's really easy, straightforward, but again, ideas of things that you can do with your scrap metal. So another thing you can do too is I was looking at these projects, or these, these pieces, is, what if you really liked this organic shape? Can you just go ahead and put a jump ring on it and call it good? Sure. But you have these really sharp edges. So of course, if that's the case, go ahead and sand down some of those pieces, and like so, or some of those edges so that it's not sharp. But if you look really closely, they're fairly thin. So my thought too here is what you could do is, where is it? Oh, I lost my metal. Is to solder it down to a back plate. Okay, so I'll show you. Or fuse it. It's already done. I totally lost my sheet metal here. Have you ever lost something in your pickle? Yeah, I think we all have. There you are. To the bottom it went. Again, just using scrap. What you could do is cut yourself out a sheet. You can use silver if you want. Again, just sort of playing here. Oh, this is, the more I'm thinking about this could be a lot of fun doing it in two-tone. Let's flatten that out. Actually, I'm going to flatten this guy out too. Okay. So you can solder this down and then saw around it, giving it a lot more bulk and making it a little bit heavier. Okay, so that's pretty straightforward, but you want to make sure that this is nice and flat. Put some solder on there and solder it. But hey, if this happened, this is sort of fun, where it has fused down to the back plate, so there's no soldering here. Let's just go ahead and saw this piece out since it's already done. And you know what's even more fun? The texture sheet that I have, the scrap that I have it on, is a pebble texture sheet. Huh, this is really working out. Okay, so I'll go ahead and saw this. Hold on a second. Let me move everything out and pull out my saw. Again, had no idea where I was going with this today, except to make these really cool little splashes of silver. Let's go ahead and set up the bench pin. Give me a second here. Okie dokie. Get rid of my torch. And switch cameras. Okay. You can see I put a new pen in for Titus. He's not here because he'll be screaming if he was here. But I had to get some work done. This is the only way he could get it done, was to create a space for him where he could be happy. Where is my, I don't know where my cut loop is, so you know what, we're gonna use wax today. So I have my piece, and I'm just going to saw around it. Okay, I hate the saw blade. The saw blade is a size 3. I know, it's huge. Let me get rid of it. Let's go to something smaller. A lot smaller. Like, so small I can't see the teeth. There it is. Okay, tighten it from the back. A little bit of wax. Oh, so much nicer. And I'm not doing a precise job here, because I want to give it a little bit of a lift, maybe. Nice long strokes when you are sawing. And notice how I am working in the middle of my bench pin in that hole. It gives it leverage on both sides, so it's not flailing all over the place. Okay. I'm going to take a little bit more hair out. I don't know why I'm being so particular about this. It's just for fun. And you can file this, of course, instead of sawing these little grooves that I'm making. So what I did was, you can actually see from the back side, I was following the edges a little bit, but I wanted more of a round edge. So just make a few little notches in here just to make it a little bit more interesting. Okay, so as you can see, I put in some notches just to make it interesting. We'll go ahead and file this down, and then I'll show you what it all looks like. You can go ahead and solder a jump ring on here. I'm taking off sharp corners. small little gap. Can you see that? Let's see. There you go. Teeny little gap. You know, I'm just gonna hammer it together. Yep, it'll be fine. If you want to, throw a little bit of copper inside of there and get that soldered together. Okay, so there we are. Put a jump ring on it, and it is a pendant. Let's liver solve this and see what happens. Again, because we can. Actually, you know what I'm going to do? I am going to go ahead and solder this really quickly and liver sulfur it so you can see what that looks like. I'm also going to look into, hold on. I'm going to look into my scrap pile here because I could have sworn I already had a ring shank going that we can use quickly, but I guess not. Must have used it. I'm gonna look one more place. Oh, I do. Oh, hey. This is fun. Let me throw this in the pickle. We're gonna put it on that. Let's see, does it fit me? Why don't I use something that fits me, huh? Oh yeah, you do fit. I'm gonna stretch you out just a little tiny bit. So this is a piece of flattened wire that I flattened through the rolling mill. We're just gonna stretch it out just a little bit because it's a little tight. There we go, nice. And I'm gonna trim that off. So this is just a piece of flattened wire that, this is probably 14 gauge wire that I had put through the rolling mill and just continuously went around a mandrel until I had a ring. And since we're doing this, I'm going to put this in the pickle and then we're going to solder our pieces on here. Just like so. And notice I'm bending this in so I don't have these edges, these ends running out, because you know what I'm going to do. I'm going to solder right on top of those ends and thereby hiding them. Okay, so I'm going to stick that in there. We'll solder these three pieces together. I'll use a little bit of hard solder between the layers. You can put down a little bit of flux if you want, and put down a chip in between instead of using paste solder. But you know I love my paste solder because it makes projects like this so easy. And of course, you can find it at theurbanbeater.com. And here I'm just dipping my granule right into it, just like so. And because I can, and I'm sort of digging this, I'm going to add another granule onto this. Actually, I'm going to add an ancient bronze granule to this. Let's see if I can find one over here sitting close. I have one. I know, shocking but true. But wouldn't it be fun to have, it's sort of unexpected. It becomes a tricolor to put a little ancient bronze one right there. So, some more hard solder. Right there on the edge with our tweezers. There we go. Brilliant. Okay, solder these pieces together and then we're going to solder it right onto that ring. Oh, I'm liking this more and more already. There we go. There we go. Okay. Woohoo! There's There's my piece. Looks great. Put it into the pickle. I'm going to grab some liver of sulfur. Heat up the water here in the microwave. Okay, and let's see where that ring shank is. There's my ring shank. Gotta double check, make sure it fits, and it fits. I have my opening right here. We'll use some pumice. It'll make life a lot easier. While we wait for the other piece to pickle, I'm getting my liver of sulfur ready. And let's grab the other piece out of the pickle now. There we are. Okay, so Jerry asked, what? Okay, so Jerry, you're asking, what's that called? What's what? I know Jerry, so I get to say that. What do you mean? What? A little more specific, please. Okay, so there it is. We're gonna solder it right on top, and that's gonna be our ring. Okay. So now that you can see it better, Jerry, what were you talking about? Okay, that's my liver sulfur prepping on the side there, and we'll go ahead and solder this guy. I'm going to use some really soft solder just to get this done very quickly. What I'm pushing my ring shank into. Oh, you mean a mandrel? That? Oh, the pumice. I got it now. So I'm putting a little bit of solder on both sides here. Too much solder, and I'm using copper solder because it's really soft solder and I want this to happen very quickly. Okay, so I'm getting creative. I have a round bowl and I'm putting it into my tripod so I can see it better. It's coming up to my eye level. How I want you to look. That's good. It's like a little flower today. All right. Let's solder this baby. Get everything nice and hot. And now that I'm thinking about it, you know, some of you have been unsuccessful at water casting for some reason to produce the cups. I think I just figured out a way to do it without having to do it with the water because these look just like water castings, right? Tweezers. Okay. There it is. We're soldered from the bottom. It's sort of cool with these two colors, but I want this to clean up, so I'm going to go ahead and pickle that. How's my liver of sulfur doing? Okay, let's see what this looks like. Ah, way hot. I know, it looks like a mountain oyster. See, if I don't say it first, somebody out there is going to say it, and then it's going to be really bad, but this is fun. So this becomes a two-tone number. Actually, I don't even know why I'm using the seal wool when I have this. My brass scratch brush. You know, the brass scratch brush is a little more stiff than the hand brush, which is nice because then it gets into these little crevices. And if you're really seeing it, actually I'll zoom in. I'm able to get these edges, these copper edges. And I'm really liking this two-tone right now. See, it's making really nice work out of that. We have these brass brushes, scratch brushes on our website, by the way. Look at that. Sort of cool. All right, let's see what this ring looks like. I'm excited. Okay, so here we are with the before. I'll put in the liver sulfur here in just a second. I'm going to clean it up first. So if you don't like the patina, you don't have to, of course. You can go with this bright color, copper and bright silver. Once again, still on the ring kick with the make it from scrap. And the, as you can see, that brass granules coming up nicely. Okay, so let's throw it in the liver sulfur, see what happens here. Wow, look at that. Oh, yeah. See, this is really cool because I've got some blues in there. Can you see that? I've got some really cool colors going on. Wow, and I've got these great purples going on out here. Maybe I won't be cleaning this up. I just might leave it. Just a little bit. And again, with the scratch brush, I can just go in and clean. I don't have to clean everything. I can just clean the little parts that I want because I want this middle to be nice, a little bit shinier. I want my brass piece to come out a little bit more so that it is more brassy color. Yeah. Wow. Can you see that? So what do you think? I'm digging it. Okay. So someone said, I see a comment here, you're going to get the copper hot too. What are you referring to? I haven't been looking at the chat, so this might have been said like, 20 minutes ago. Okay. Okay. There it is. I dig it. Let me turn off the light, see if it changes what you guys can see. I'm sorry, honey? So the question is, what would I seal it with? I wouldn't seal it with anything. I don't have a tendency to seal any of my metals. because, you know, metal is continually oxidizing and it's continually changing. So it's really hard to hold on to these colors that you have. However, if you do feel compelled to, Krylon works. You know, a couple coats of Krylon in the gloss. Some people like Permalac. And I think there's one called Protect-A-Clear, but I don't really care for those. I think if I was to do it, I would probably use Krylon. Anyway, so that's me in a nutshell. I am digging this because I have the 3 tones going, and then now I have the purples and the blues, which is working really well with the copper. And I'll show you what it looks like from the inside. I hid my joint underneath the underneath my flower, I'll call it, and it just works. And here's the other one. You can put a pendant on that. You know, this one, I can't say I love the splatter or the splash there. It probably would have been a little bit more fun if I had done like this one or something. But what's nice too is you can do, again, I had some pieces, you can solder some more pieces on there to make it a little bit more interesting, or whatever floats your boat. You could also, if you wanted to, jump these pieces together and make it into a long pendant. Probably not that one. Let's see. And make a pendant out of it. Again, lots of little things that you can do with it. Anyway, so fun, yes. Fun, no. I say fun, yes. But if you are interested, like I said, I am destashing a couple of these, the whip and crucible and a couple of the torch heads for pretty cheap. If you are, it is at the Facebook Craft Exchange page, and Andy, I did see he posted a link on that. So on Wednesday we're gonna be back and we're gonna do put a little jingle in it. That's going to be a free live, but the kit is available for $21. And then on Monday, Marty Brown is going to be here, and next week, or in a couple weeks, we have a Zoom with Scott Mason and Janet Libby, and hopefully you'll be seeing me from Morocco. In the meantime, have a happy Thanksgiving if I don't see you on Wednesday. Thanks for joining me. I'm glad you guys liked it.